Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu revealing today what some of his goals are for Israel after the war in Gaza. Speaking to the Israeli parliament, Netanyahu said it is his intention to create a lasting peace in the region by pursuing new deals with Arab nations. At the same time, Netanyahu is apparently open to Egypt's proposal for a two-day ceasefire in Gaza. That's what a member of his own political party told CNN after a closed-door meeting. This comes fewer than 2 days after Israel launched retaliatory strikes on Iran, an assault that Iran now warns it will respond to appropriately. Let's discuss with former Defense Secretary and CNN Global Affairs analyst Mark Esper. He serves on the board or as a strategic advisor for a handful of aerospace and defense-related companies. Secretary, a pleasure to have you as always. Thanks for joining us. What stood out to you first about Israel's retaliatory strikes over the weekend, and how do you anticipate this appropriate response that Tehran is describing will look like?
Well, good afternoon, Boris. I think first on the Israeli assault, I was very impressed by it. They employed, over 100 aircraft flying 1,000 miles to attack 20 targets and basically stripped away Iran's top-tier air defenses and went after its ballistic missile production nodes and drone nodes. So they basically interrupted ballistic missile production, which will not only harm Iran, but it also help with Hezbollah, who also gets ballistic missiles from Iran, and also Russia, that gets ballistic missiles from Iran to use against Ukraine. So I think that's a good thing. But the message they sent by stripping away their air defenses is that if you act up, Iran, if you strike back, we can come back. The doors are open, and we'll go after different sites. And as I said a few weeks ago when this came up, they had the choice between leadership targets, military targets, and economic targets, and of course the nuclear targets. And they chose the military targets. But next time, who knows? We'll be beyond an election likely, and maybe Bibi Netanyahu thinks his hand is freer to do whatever he wants. Now, with regard to the counterattack, I think for those same reasons, Iran is going to be very hesitant to come back and do anything to respond. You see it in the language of the Ayatollah Khamenei, who is speaking very moderately. I suspect they're not going to respond at this point in time because they know that they're in a very, very weak position.
Secretary, I'm also curious to get your thoughts about the hostage release and ceasefire talks resuming in Doha. What do you think would need to happen for us to see a breakthrough? And you mentioned how the U.S. election might play a role in the broader picture. Specifically with these talks, how does the election potentially alter the conversation?
Well, look, I think it's good that they're talking, but my understanding is that Hamas is not there, number one. Number two, Hamas is still saying that the preconditions are a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and that's not going to happen. And number three, it's not clear. I haven't heard that they've appointed a new political leader yet. So we don't know who's going to be running Hamas making these decisions. Will it be another hardliner like Yahya Sinwar was? Or will it be a moderate who's living outside of Gaza? So on the Palestinian side in Gaza, those are important factors. On the Israeli side, of course, there is an imperative to bring back the hostages. An overwhelming majority of Israelis want that. But on the other hand, Bibi Netanyahu is in a much, much stronger position right now in terms of vis-a-vis the Palestinians in Gaza. He doesn't have to worry as much about Hezbollah to the north, and certainly not as much about Iran to the east. So he's in a much stronger position. I don't suspect he's in a position to kind of concede too much. So I'm still not optimistic about talks at this point, Boris.
How optimistic would you say you are for the supposed peace deals that Netanyahu is talking about brokering after the war with Hamas?
Well, they certainly need a peace deal. This is going to end up in some type of negotiated agreement, a settlement. But what we need to know is what's the near-term settlement for Gaza, right? They're certainly not going to allow Hamas to come back and govern. So who's going to go in there? Is it going to be Israeli troops, eventually succeeded by a pan-Arab force or an Arab-European force? Ultimately, at the end of the day, will it be West Bank, the PLO? I'm sorry, not the PLO, but Abu Mazen, who leads the Palestinians in West Bank, in charge of Gaza? We don't know. That's what we need to see is the interim step before we see the broader strategic deal that encapsulates the region based on the foundation of the Abraham Accords. That's what we're looking for in the long term. But we need that short-term plan right now.
Secretary Mark Esper, appreciate the analysis. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Boris.